Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you're located. It looks like we're at the top of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and get started now. First, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. We know your time is valuable. And hopefully in today's webinar, Back to Basics, you're going to learn a few things about your practice web software that will help you operate more efficiently and maybe be a little bit more productive in your everyday practice management tasks. It does look like we are waiting on a few more registrants, so I'm going to go ahead and go over a few housekeeping items while we're waiting on them to log in. First, a few of you have already become acquainted with the chat box using your Start Meeting, your Start Meeting service. During today's webinar, if you have any questions relating to the subject that we're dealing with, go ahead and type your question in the chat box. There will be a few moments when we're able to pause to answer those questions at that time. If not, we are going to have a question and answer session towards the end, so that way we can make sure to support you in as efficient manner as possible. Now, when it comes to the phone lines, we have muted them for the courtesy of others. If you have any questions after today's webinar, feel free to email our technical support at support@practice-web.com, or you can call 800-845-9379 and dial extension 2. Now, I'm going to go ahead and open up the Practice Web software. For those of you that are logged into the Screen Connect service, make sure you go ahead and type OK if you can see the Practice Web software open. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, when it comes to the Practice Web software, it does have a specific design flow that is going to help you manage your practice more efficiently. Today we're going to get started by going over how to properly schedule an appointment and some of the efficiency features that will help you do that more efficiently, so that way you can also speed up productivity and efficiency on the back end. Now, when it comes to properly scheduling an appointment, it's a matter of double left clicking on the time slot that you would like to schedule your appointment for. The Practice Web software will think 2 steps ahead of you, and it'll actually bring up the screen that you will need next in the appointment making process. So let's go over that now. I'm going to go ahead and schedule an appointment for 1 p.m. in Operatory 1. And just like in cross-reading a map, you select the line 1 in the operatory that you're scheduling for and double left click. This will bring up your Select a Patient menu. Now, in the Select a Patient menu, in order to minimize searching and minimize duplicate patient entry, it does ask you to search for the patient before you enter the new patient appointment. Oops, let me correct my spelling here. So by searching, it helps you eliminate that duplicate patient entry. Now, when you click on the Add Many button, and this is a little-known secret about Practice Web, even if it's just a singular patient, if you click on Add Many, it will bring up a screen where you can enter in the patient's information and insurance information all in one screen, eliminating 3 registration steps. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just put in a birth date here. I'm going to tab in there, and I'm going to get a phone number so that way I can confirm my patient's appointment. And if needed, you can then add in your insurance. I'm going to go ahead and click OK to save this. So once I click on Done, it will now automatically bring me to my Edit Appointment screen. Did you notice how the screen that I needed next automatically came to me? If you find yourself navigating during making an appointment, you're working way too hard. Now, in the Edit Appointment screen, you notice that there's this big gray area that says Procedures on this appointment. It's extremely important that you have something entered here because that speeds up the documentation process in the back end. Now, in order to quickly and efficiently get procedures attached to this appointment, there's a quick pick list here that is fully customizable to your practice. Now, for this particular case, when it comes to new patient appointments, they'll either come in for general care, basic recall stuff, or they're coming in because they have a specific problem. So these buttons are designed with general treatment area, no specific teeth, no specific quadrants or surfaces. That's all taken care of during treatment planning. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just click on Adult Recall and notice how multiple procedure codes automatically attached with one single mouse click. That's how quick and efficient this should be. Go ahead and click OK to save this appointment. Now, the next screen that came up, you'll notice, is a letter. Web software contains a framework. It's called Automation Framework. Whenever you create a specific type of an appointment, or if you're completing specific types of treatment, you know when you create a new patient appointment, you're going to need to send out some sort of new patient communication, either a welcome letter that has directions to your practice, or maybe you're going to fill out the new patient registration forms online, some sort of, extra forms that will need to be filled out. So by using the automation framework, again, the screen that you need next automatically comes to you. Now I'm going to go ahead and click OK to save this. And notice I now have a new patient appointment. When you use all of these features together, the way they're designed, you can make a new patient account in 6 mouse clicks. That's it. That's all it takes. Now, I'm going to pause right here for a moment, and I'm going to allow you to take just a moment to type in any questions about this process. Go ahead and use your chat box, and we'll continue. I have a question that came up in chat. It says, which option did you select to get the letter? First, the letter does come from the Sheets framework. That's where the letter is made. As far as having it automatically show up during the new patient appointment process, it's called Automation Framework. So underneath your setup and automation, this is where you can then create the forms that you may need during specific everyday processes. So for example, if I click on Add, the description would be New Patient Appointment. And then I can select what would trigger this. So when I create a new patient appointment, and then I can select what letters or what forms I want to have automatically come up. Now, we do have an online video tutorial on our website that does go over this process in more detail, but this is the framework that we are using in order to get it to automate. Now, it looks like I have another question. Repeat the steps. The process of creating a new patient appointment in order to go with the design flow of the Practice Web software, the first thing you do is double-click on the time slot, and then you start by searching. So let's just do Jane's Doe here. Okay, and then you click on Add Many, enter the patient's information, or at least a phone number, click OK, and then it's automatically going to pull up your Edit Appointment screen. Now from here, you select the procedures you're going to do for this new patient, click OK, and then either print or email, and you're done. So actually that was more like 4 mouse clicks, even better. Now, the purpose of attaching the procedures to the appointments is not only so you know why this patient is coming in, but by attaching the procedures, it is automatically going to start the documentation process for you in your chart module. Essentially, you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Now, when it comes to new patient registration, Ideally, your paperless features are what you're going to start implementing in order to just make it more time efficient. The whole patient registration process is very costly when you're using a paper method to register your patients. On average, you have 4 to 5 sheets of paper that are going to go on a clipboard. If you count in the labor time of what that's going to take to process, either manually typing it in or scanning, based on market research, it will cost you about $3,000 per year to register your patients with paper. So we're going to put that back in your pocket, as well as help your staff get more time for PR in the office. Now, when it comes to your patient registration processes, there are 2 paperless methods that you can use. There's the cloud forms online patient registration, as well as the in-office patient kiosk. Both are paperless. Both are fully integrated into your Practice Web software. Now, when it comes to the truly most efficient way, the cloud forms is hosted online, so you can either attach a link to your website, and while you're on the phone with your patient, you can direct them to your website, or you can email the link from Practice Web. As you saw in that letter, when you click on email, you can attach the link there, and then you can have them fill out the forms at home. The kiosk requires no internet at all, and that can be used with a dedicated tablet PC or a dedicated laptop or some sort of computer in your office, where the dedicated computer is part of your network. Patient comes in, fills out the information at the kiosk, and then it will import directly into the database. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the process of both methods. I'm going to go up to the Tools menu, and I'm going to click on Web Forms. And I'm going to just pull my link real quick so that way you can see what the form will look like online. Now, so this is the form that is provided for you from Practice Web. To an extent, these forms are customizable as long as they meet a certain file size. Now, it's very important to know that first name, last name, and birth date are what connect the forms that are filled out online to the information that you already put into your database. So let's just go ahead and put in John Doe here. And let's just do 987. And I'm just putting in just a few pieces of information here for you so that way you can watch it import. So once they fill it out, they click on Submit, and it'll get stored on Practice Web's secure server. Because we do take on the responsibility of the Secure Site Certificate for HIPAA compliance, there is a small subscription fee for this service, but as you can see, it will exponentially increase the efficiency of your front office. Now, once your patient has filled this information out, we're going to go ahead and come back over here to the web forms. Once they fill them out, in your office, all your staff has to do is click on the Retrieve New Forms button. And this will pull up the forms that the patients have filled out online. So if you had 7 patients fill out the forms online, all 7 patients will be listed here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just pull this up. There we go. Now, the way this works is once they have filled the form out, I can click on View this patient's forms, and it's going to pull up essentially my digital clipboard for this patient. Now, all I have to do is highlight registration form and click on Import. Now I can double check my patient. I can see what was entered at the time the patient's appointment was created. I can see the entered value, which is what they filled in online. and then I can see the import value of what will actually import. Now, if I don't want to copy over anything, notice how I entered a phone number at the time of the appointment, but the patient neglected to do so. I can just uncheck that and control what's going to import. Now, once I click on Import and click on Done, when I close this, I'm going to go ahead and refresh my screen here. As you can see, all of that data that the patient filled in is now here in the patient information section. Now, I'm getting a message in the chat. Is everybody able to hear me, or is it just the one attendant? Go ahead and type in the chat if you can hear me. For the webinar attendant that says they can't, you may have to call in to the conference line. It's 530-881-1212, and then enter your meeting ID. That way you can hear. All right, thank you everyone for typing in the chat and confirming that for me. Okay, now, and as far as volume, I see a couple of comments about volume. I am all the way up on my end, so I'll try to talk a little louder, but if you can adjust the volume on your end, that might be the best way. All right, thank you so much for that response, guys. Now, as you can see, the data that was entered online is right here in patient information. The web forms truly is the quickest and most efficient way. Now, the second way was the patient kiosk. If for whatever reason your internet is down, you can still use the patient kiosk in order to fill out the registration forms. And the way that works is at the time you make the appointment, then you would click on the Forms button up here at the top, click on Add, and then select the forms that you are going to have this patient fill out. And then once these are attached to your kiosk, then they're just sitting there and wait. So essentially you've loaded your digital clipboard. Now, at the time that this patient comes in, you would then go to the Tools menu and click on Kiosk Manager and click on Load Patient. And what that would do is whatever computer is your designated kiosk, it would pull up a screen, and I can actually demonstrate that for you. You would pull up a screen that looks like this. Notice it pulls up the forms, but everything else is grayed out. Your patient will have access to nothing else. So once they click on Done, they're locked out of this machine. There's nothing else that they can do. Now, with the kiosk, everything imports the exact same way as the web forms. You just go to Forms, highlight Import, and it imports the exact same way as the web forms. Ultimately, with the training, when you're using it, the features the way that they're designed, that particular feature, you can register a patient in 6 mouse clicks. It is much more efficient than just double left clicking on the patient information and then manually filling out these fields all together. It's also more efficient to use the Add Many button, because if this patient does have insurance, you can enter that insurance at the time that they make their appointment, rather than having to go through the 2-step process and clicking on the Add Insurance button. Now, if the patient doesn't have access to their insurance card, or for whatever reason they need to bring their insurance information to you at the time of their appointment, you can click on the Add Insurance button. And one thing that, especially for new employees that are attending the webinar today, follow the prompts in the Practice Web software. The software is loaded with them, and as long as you follow the prompts honestly, you'll never get garbage data in your database. Now, for this particular training, is this patient a subscriber? We're going to go ahead and say yes. Now, it'll bring up the Edit Insurance Plan screen. One thing to get into the habit of is clicking on Pick from a List. Whenever you enter an insurance plan into the software, it will get stored on a list. So based on the carrier, group number, and group name, if you see the plan that you would like to use, just double left click on it and it'll populate everything, carrier information, fee schedule, benefits, everything that you need. Now, if you do not see the insurance plan that you want to use under Pick from a List, then you can fill these fields in manually, being mindful to get group name and group number, since that is what helps you identify your benefit packages. Fill in the contracted fee schedule, especially if you're in network. And then when it comes to editing your benefits, simply double left click in your benefit information section. Now, in your benefit information section, it's very important that you put in your annual max and your general deductible. The reason is, with your annual max entered, there is a report within Practice Web called the Treatment Plan Analyzer. This is an integral part of your software. It's nothing additional that you have to purchase or pay for. It's part of your Practice Web. But what it will do is it will compare outstanding treatment plans to insurance benefits that your patient has remaining. This is an especially helpful feature in the third and fourth quarter of the year when you're trying to maximize insurance benefits before they expire. On average, our customers usually find between $10,000 and $20,000 extra in revenue towards the end of the year. All you have to do is follow up on it. Now, once you've filled out these benefits according to this plan, you click OK to save. And if this truly were a brand new plan, you would click OK. It will, oops, sorry guys, operator error there. And then once you click OK, it'll save that plan and it'll automatically store it to the Pick from a List. Now, we're going to pause for just a moment. Are there any questions in the patient registration process or the family module? Go ahead and type into the chat box if you have any. No questions as of right now? Okay, not a problem. We'll keep moving forward, and if you do have any questions, we can always address them at the end of the webinar. Now, to recap just a little bit, you remember that by attaching the procedures to the appointment, not only do you know why this patient is coming in, but it also starts the documentation process for you in the chart. Now, when it comes to marking these procedures as complete, depending on what it is you're doing, if it's based on a treatment plan, the patient may change their mind as what they're doing versus what options they had, what was scheduled on the appointment. So whether you set complete from here, and you do that by highlighting the procedures, single right click, set complete. So whether you set complete from here, or if you go to the appointment and you single right click on the appointment and set complete from here, the process of putting your procedures in your account module for billing should take no more than 2 mouse clicks, no matter what module you're doing it from. So 2 mouse clicks is all it takes. You should not double enter anything. Now, when it comes to the account module and the treatment being completed, you see how it says unsent when this patient has insurance? This is your staff's communication clue, letting them know that the front desk or whoever may be filling in for the person at the front desk has done their part, registered this patient fully. Now it's time to create an insurance claim. To create a claim, it's just a matter of clicking on the New Claim button, and when you send it electronically, you click on Send. And what this will do is it'll automatically change this to sent, and then your claim will look like this. You have the value of the claim, the status that you know it was sent, and Practice Web does have a report that will help you track all of these. You have what you hope to get from the insurance company, and then you have the estimated patient portion. This is your patient's copay for this visit. In order to accept a patient copay, you click on the payment button, and then it'll bring up your cash register screen, per se. Type in whatever it is that you're accepting. Use your customizable payment types. And then when you click OK, that'll show the newly reflected balance. So when it comes to identifying copays, and I do want to elaborate here because this has been a pretty frequent support call, as long as you have correct copay fee schedules here, so whatever your contracted amounts are that are up to date, as long as you have the correct copay fee schedule here and you have the correct benefits in the benefit information section, then you can be assured that this is mathematically accurate. Garbage in equals garbage out. If you don't put the right information in, the equations that make up the software will not be right. But as long as you have the correct information in, you can trust the information you get from your estimates. Now, we're going to briefly talk about matched insurance payments because there's a new feature within the current version of the software that actually makes the process of doing matched insurance payments more accurate. So let's kind of talk. I know that there are a few new employees that are attending our webinar today. An EOB is known as an of benefits. When you submit a claim to an insurance company, typically what they'll do is they will bulk all those claims together, and they're going to give you one payment for multiple claims. And then you'll get a piece of paper attached to that check known as an EOB. Now, for this particular demonstration, let's just say we have an explanation of benefits, or an EOB, from Delta Dental. And hypothetically, we have 3 patients, but we have one check for, say, $500. So you start with the first patient on that EOB. And for this, let's just say it's John. On that EOB, you're going to see a date of service, and you're going to double left click on the claim that EOB is telling you they're paying on. So we're going to go ahead and double left click. Now, in the upper right-hand corner of your Edit Claim screen, you see where it says Enter Payment. These are your insurance payments. Over here on the far left, this is Patient Payment Only, because this payment button on the far left is directly linked to your patient income column on your production and income report. Over on the far right, in the Enter Payment on the Edit Claim screen, this is directly linked to your insurance income column on your production and income report. So if you want to have the most accurate reports possible, it is important that you know the difference between the two. Now, my personal favorite way to enter matched insurance payments is by procedure, just because it does give you more detail and it does give you a better explanation as to any patient balance remaining once insurance payments and insurance write-offs are done. So when you click on By Procedure, it'll give you your Enter Payment screen. So let's say the insurance paid $70, we're going to write off $12. If they paid $30, you're going to write off, $14. Whatever you're contractually obligated, and usually most EOBs will detail this information out for you. So you just put this information in according to whatever it is that they're paying. And then you click OK. And this is another really big support question. Always click OK in the lower right-hand corner after posting an insurance payment. That way the claim status gets saved and you don't have these miscellaneous paid claims on your outstanding insurance claims report. That's just a friendly tip. So we're going to go ahead and click OK. And as you can see, it changes the status. I have payment, I have write-off, I have what's called open line detailing, and now I have my patient balance. So now that I have my first patient for this EOB done, all I have to do is go to the Select a Patient menu, select the second name on that EOB, and repeat this process. Now, once I have finished the last patient for this EOB, I click on the Create Check button. The process of creating the check serves two purposes. Number one, it actually officially closes everything out and posts this payment on your production and income report. The second thing it does is it actually serves as a double check. So on this double check process, this amount should match your EOB. When you click OK, if you have 3 EOB, those same 3 patients should be listed here. So if at any point during your EOB payment entry you notice that this does not match, rather than waiting for 7 hours and trying to reconcile at the end of the day, you can find out where the mistake is right here, right now, and get it corrected. Now, once everything matches up, you can simply click OK, and then it'll give you a reference line on your claim. Okay? Now, when it comes to posting insurance payments, because it is such a vitally important process in practice management, if you need to call technical support to get further assistance with this, we are more than happy to help you out. Okay. Now, if you have any balance owing after the insurance payment has been made, you can click on the drop-down menu next to Statement and either email your patient a statement, or you can click on the Statement button and it will create a family statement that you can send by mail. Now, before we leave the account module, do you have any questions here? Go ahead and take a moment to type it into the chat box. Okay, no questions as of right now. We'll continue to move forward. If you do develop any questions, we can take care of it during your question and answer session at the end of the webinar. Now, we're going to briefly move into the chart module. For doctors and back office staff, this is where you're going to spend about 90% of your time. Also, when it comes to documentation, this is where all of your medical documentation takes place. And it's also the real driver for your paperless office. Now, as you can see, we have our procedures that were done today. We have our appointment and all of the procedures attached to this appointment in yellow. If for any reason we needed to add procedures to what we did today, I can use my quick buttons and my entry tab to go ahead and do that. The only thing you need to be mindful of is what entry status you have selected. So if I want to enter treatment for something we are going to do today, all I have to do is put the bullet in complete. And let's say we're going to do an extraction. So by clicking on the tooth, clicking on the button, it documents my treatment. Notice how the treatment attached to my appointment is in yellow, but the additional treatment done is white. This lets you know what was scheduled, what is additional production. Now, the quick buttons that you saw me click on, this is truly the fastest and easiest way to enter any type of treatment within your chart module, whether it is existing treatment, so work done by another doctor at another practice, predominantly used on new patients. Existing current provider, if you're working your way into the paperless office and you want to document history treatment that your doctor has done previously. And then you also have treatment plan, which is future work. So based on what we've seen here, we need to create a treatment plan because maybe we noticed a completely rotten tooth and we need to take care of it. So in order to create a treatment plan, you highlight whatever tooth it is that you need to do treatment on. And then you can choose your diagnostics, which are customizable under Setup menu Definitions. And then you click on the Quick button. So notice how multiple procedures have automatically been attached to my procedure list, as well as my graphics have been painted on my chart. So customizing these buttons is really key to quick and efficient entry in the back. Now, we do have an online video tutorial dedicated to customizing these buttons. I'm going to briefly show you it right now so that way you get a little bit of familiarity. Underneath the Setup menu, and then Procedure buttons. It is definitely recommended in order to stay more organized to create categories. The idea is to minimize time. So scrolling up and down, scrolling up, down, scrolling up and down, that's kind of a time waster rather than a time saver, because if you have so many buttons in one category that you're scrolling, it's very easy to overlook buttons. So by customizing these categories, essentially, I'm going to pull this down a little bit, you can work just from left to right. So click on the tooth, click on the category, click on the button. That's all there is to it. No obnoxious searching. Now, when it comes to customizing these buttons, what I usually recommend you do is, as a staff, as an office, collaborate on what buttons you need for your practice. Sometimes doctors, they will always bill these 5 codes or do these 5 codes when they perform this procedure, whatever the situation is for your doctor, for your practice. And then come in and create those buttons. So as you can see, whatever codes I need to suffice this description, I can add in and customize completely. As I mentioned, we do have a video tutorial completely dedicated to this feature. And so you can watch that at your convenience. It's available on our website 24/7. Now, as far as entering procedures, that is the fastest and easiest way. Now, in the process of creating notes, being truly paperless, as you probably noticed, I had a note automatically appear once I marked this procedure as completed. When it comes to your medical notes, there are 5 different ways that you can actually document your medical notes. My personal favorite way is the default notes, which is located underneath your list menu and underneath your procedure codes. Now, when it comes to your default notes, if you double left click on the description box, it'll pull up your edit procedure code screen, and then you can type in your note. And when it comes to your notes, if the note is generally the same for everyone, but there may be just a few pieces of patient-specific information that you may need, then you can leave little blank spaces so that way at the time this note is entered, you can type in just that information and it's still going to save you a whole load of time. If you are a multiple provider practice, by clicking the Add Note button, you can actually have individual providers create their own custom notes. So this is really, really enhancement to this feature. Now, when it comes to your notes, let's go ahead and I'm just going to treatment plan a Profi real quick. There we go. So because this procedure has not been completed yet, the note does not show up. However, if I mark this as set complete, as you can see, it automatically populates. So this is my personal favorite way to enter in notes. Now, if you have a doctor that's not so eager to have individual notes for individual procedures, but rather they like to have one note for the entire visit, you can do that too. If you highlight all of your procedures that are completed for this appointment, single right click, and then click on group note. What this will do is, oh, hold on a minute here. I'm sorry, guys. I am having difficulty with my mouse. I apologize. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. Okay. So by highlighting the procedures and then right-click and click on Group Note, this will allow you to create one note for all the procedures you did today. That will kind of help you eliminate some of the visual clutter. So if your doctor still is not a big typer, but they want to use this group note, if I single right-click in this note area here, it'll give me Insert Quick Note. Insert Quick Note is a template list. There is absolutely no limit to the possibility of notes that can be made here. Due to liability causes, we legally cannot provide you with medical notes, but the ability for you to create your own notes is unlimited. Now, based on this feature, how it works, you can either select from a list and click OK, or you can type in the abbreviation. So let's see what abbreviations we have here. Note. Okay. So if I were to type in question mark and then the abbreviation, it'll automatically populate as well. Now, one tip that I can give you as far as using the abbreviations when it comes to using this feature, if you get like a 5x7 index card and then type in the or not type in, but just put in the abbreviation and then a synopsis of what that is used for, then if you keep that by your operatories, they have quick access as to what note it is that they're going to need if your assistant is dictating this for you. But as you can see, that's just a couple of ways, but there are so many more. Again, on our online video tutorial website, we do have a video that details this out for you. What you can always do is you can watch the video on the note-taking processes, and then as the doctor deems fit, they can pick their favorite, and then they can call technical support and get an elaborated tutorial on that one particular method. But we have all the resources to help you with that. Now, we're going to take just a moment to pause. Do you have any questions on note documentation or how to put procedures into the progress notes section? Go ahead and take just a moment to type into the chat. Any questions on the procedure buttons or notes? Any question on entry status differentiation? Okay, wonderful. We'll continue to move forward. If you do come up with a question, don't hesitate to type it into the chat, and then we'll cover it in the question and answer session later on today. Okay, now let's talk about treatment planning just a little bit. Just for the sake of training, let's go ahead and add in another procedure here. And let's move into our treatment plan module. Now, as I had mentioned, Practice Web tries to eliminate the double entry process. So whenever you enter treatment, that is entered as treatment plan, it's waiting here for you to sell your services, to do a detailed consultation. Now, you also do pre-authorization here. So if you're going to submit for pre-authorization, you just highlight your procedures. If you need to, you can hold the control key down and you can highlight randomly placed procedures and then click on pre-authorization. Now, this screen comes up so you can choose whether you're submitting to primary or secondary. And then you click OK and you click Send. The exact same way you would an electronic claim. Super easy. Typically, when you send your pre-authorizations electronically, you'll find out within about 48 to 72 hours what the approval status is. So it is much faster than sending it by mail. Now, once you get your authorization back, you just double-click on the pre-authorizations, and then you see where it says Enter Payment by Procedure. It'll pull up a screen that'll tell you what the fee is that you submitted for approval, and then you can type in what the estimate is. So whatever that is, you put it in. So again, whatever's on the authorization. You can even put in remarks for the OB for, patient purposes, so you can tell them why the insurance is underpaying. And then when you click OK, this will actually change the status automatically in your treatment plan, updating your patient copays. Okay? So by entering your authorizations within PracticeWeb, this will remove the pre-authorization from your outstanding claims report. That's another big support question, is why do I have pre-authorizations on my outstanding claims report? Well, ideally, if you want to get paid as much as possible and generate as much production as possible, if you submit a pre-authorization but you don't mark it as received and update the copays, it will remain on your outstanding claim, so that way you can follow up on it. So if you say, hey, I submitted a pre-auth, was it approved or not? Then you can try to get more money, get more production into your practice. By marking them as received, again, it helps you minimize the visual clutter on your reports, and you can follow up and ideally improve your collection. Now, when it comes time to sell your service, so you got the authorization back, you know what the patient's responsibility is going to be, it's time to really sell your services. That's where the priority comes in. Now, these priorities are fully customizable. Please customize them. It will help you sell your services so much faster. Now, when it comes to customizing these, you go to the Setup menu, and you go to Definitions. Now, underneath Definitions, down at the very bottom, you see Treatment Plan Priorities. Now, under your treatment plan priorities, you may notice that you have a few miscellaneous items here that are marked as hidden. There is absolutely no limit to the amount of priorities you can have. As you can see, for demonstration purposes, we have option 1, option 2, option 3. Well, maybe we want to create another option availability here. So we'll do option 4. And I'm going to give this maybe a muted blue color. As you can see, I've kind of given them subliminal color coding. Option 1 is red because it's the most important. It's what I want them to notice. Option 2 is orange. Option 3 could be yellow. You get the idea. By color coding, you subliminally get your patient to really stand on what it is you're really trying to sell them. Now, the options, you can then set up visit 1, visit 2, visit 3, so that way if it is a procedure that does require multiple appointments, your staff can more efficiently schedule, and we're going to show you how that works right now. So we got our pre-authorization back. We're going to set out option 1, option 2, option 3. So this is going to be option 1. Highlight. This is going to be option 2. And here's option 3. Now, the patient has selected option 1. This is what we're actually going to do. So I can highlight these procedures and click on Save Treatment Plan. And notice how it drops just the procedures that were highlighted into its own treatment plan. If I click on Default, everything's where it was, but I now have what we're going to sign off on. This is what was accepted. Now, from here, I can then say we're going to do this procedure on visit 1, and we're going to do this procedure on visit 2, and this procedure on visit 3. So now, there we go. So now the patient knows what their copay is on each individual visit. This is also a great alternative to payment plans. So if you don't think that this patient is capable of paying their amounts on a timely visit or in a timely manner, you can make their payments per visit, and by using these priorities, it can help you organize that a little bit better. Now, with the the default treatment plan, since this is what actually shows up when you schedule your appointment, you can also change it here just with a few simple mouse clicks. Now, when you have your treatment plans organized like this, so visit 1, visit 2, visit 3, and we'll put this on just another status here. When it comes to scheduling this appointment, we're going to go back up to the Appointments module, double-click on the time we're going to schedule for, double-click on the patient's name, and click on Create New Appointment. Now, underneath your Create New Appointment, you see in the Procedures on this appointment screen how it gives you your treatment plan. So there should no longer be the whole scenario where the staff member has to hunt down the chart or hunt down the routing slip in order to schedule out the next patient's appointment. If the treatment plan coordinator, if that's who you have, selling your services, or if it's left up to the front desk staff, as long as the system is being used the way it's designed, everything is already entered for you, saving you a significant amount of time. Now, when it comes to actually scheduling, if we're going to do the root canal on visit number 1, highlight that procedure, click OK. If in 2 weeks we're going to schedule out the next visit, double left click, double left click. Here's all of my appointments, past, present, and future. Create new appointment, visit number 2. See how easy that is? So as long as you use the system the way it is designed to be used, it can significantly increase communication between your staff, help you provide better services to your patients because you're able to deal with them on a more individual basis rather than worrying about processing paperwork or figuring out where charts are. And it will also help you increase your productivity. I want to talk about a little bit more about appointments now. Before we leave the treatment planning, did anyone have any questions on the treatment plan module that they would like to type into the chat? Go ahead and do that, and we can always cover it when we go through our question and answer session. A question came in, where can you find the online tutoring at? We have actually updated our actual homepage, our practice-web.com. We've updated it so you can go directly to our homepage, and there's a button that says Tutorial, and then you can click on that Tutorials button, and you'll see the link directly there. Now, because the online tutorials are dedicated to customers who are current on technical support, for those of you who are attending today that do have current technical support, we'll send you an email with the updated password, so that way you can access those. Now, one of my personal favorite features, definitely in the list of top 5, that is rarely used, is the Make or Find Appointment button. This will help your front office increase how they communicate with their patients so much more effectively. It's very, very common that you get patients who may call to reschedule. If they're calling to reschedule, but you're really busy and you don't have the time to search for their appointment, if you click on the Make or Find Appointment button, it'll bring up all appointments, past, present, and future. So if they are on the phone with you and they say, when did I schedule my appointment? You can say you scheduled your appointment for this date and time. If they tell you that they can't make it for whatever reason and they'd like to reschedule that, I can just click on Copy to Pinboard, and that will drop my appointment on my pinboard. So then I can select the day that is going to work best for my patient, and then I can just drag and drop. So rather than searching, and this is something that I see constantly, is I'll see staff members click, 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 click. That's such a time eater. You want to make sure that you don't navigate any farther than you have to. So click on the Make or Find Appointment button, highlight the scheduled appointment, copy to pinboard, and off it goes. Now, for patients that actually need to cancel, ideally we want to reschedule, but sometimes patients just have to cancel. So if they do, single right-click on the appointment and click on Send to Unscheduled List. Now, there is a big difference between someone who calls you days in advance to cancel versus somebody who no-shows. Now, when it comes to people who call in advance, click on the appointment and send it to Unscheduled List. Now, what this does is, since this appointment is scheduled out in advance, it removes the appointment from the scheduler, so that way you can fill it in with somebody who will be able to come in and you can generate some production. But if there is a day where you need to fill in some blank time slots, you come up to the little piece of paper with the bent corner, known as the Appointments List, and then you click on Unscheduled. And as you can read by the narrative, a short list of appointments that need to be followed up on. So I can click on Unscheduled, and then I can double left click on the patient that I'm trying to contact. From here, I can see when the appointment was originally scheduled. I can use this patient information here to contact them. I can even tell them what they're coming in for or should have come in for. Now, if I contact this patient and they can't come in yet, I can click on Communication Logs. Patient has busy schedule, and I can make a note as to why they cannot reschedule. And it's viewable for anyone who may follow up on this list. If they can reschedule, then I can just click on Pinboard and then just drag and drop. So no more missed appointments, no more lost appointments, and there's no 2-foot tall stack of charts on your desk that you have to follow up on. That's so 1990s. Now, when it comes to scheduling or managing broken appointments, never delete a broken appointment. The reason why is because you cannot follow up with a deleted appointment. Broken appointments, if they are truly broken, meaning they just flat out no-showed on you, right-click, mark it as broken. The Make or Find Appointment will keep track of how many broken appointments this patient has. Now, you can use your discretion here, because if this is a reputable patient, been with you for years, hardly ever breaks an appointment, you can highlight this broken appointment, copy it to Pinboard, and reschedule it as if they can reschedule for you. Now, if this is a brand new patient, never actually had a completed procedure or completed appointment with your practice, you definitely want to leave a record of broken appointments, simply because if the staff member goes to make another appointment, this is the first screen that this patient's going to see, or this, not patient, but employee is going to see. So if you see 3 broken appointments and nothing else, you know you need to collect a deposit before scheduling an appointment for this patient again. So the Make or Find Appointment has so many capabilities to it to help you communicate with your patients and help you use your software more effectively in the front office. So as far as the basics of Practice Web, bringing it back so that way you're using your software more effectively, I hope that you have learned what you need to today to get started in the right direction in achieving the paperless office, in using your software more effectively. We are now at the top of of the hour, and so we're going to go ahead and open it up for question and answers. If you have any questions about your Practice Web software, go ahead and type it into the chat room now. It does look like we have a question here. Where can you insert notes on the broken appointment screen? The broken appointment screen, as far as notes, the adjustment that automatically comes up when you mark an appointment as broken, you can either do communications log, or if you are breaking it, notice how it gives you a note here. That is all relative as far as where you make your note. That's relative to the organization of your practice. Personally, I recommend making notes anywhere you can. So make your first note here, and then make a communications log as well. So that way, when you are following up with broken appointments, let me show you underneath your appointments list and under unscheduled. See this check mark where it says include broken appointments? So if I wanted to include broken appointments here, I could then make a communications log on those as well. So notes everywhere. But those are the two main places that you can do it for broken appointments specifically. I notice here there's another question as far as paperless patient forms. Back to paperless, when a patient enters medical history, does it transfer into the chart in the pink area? It actually is going to in the next upgrade. That has been a major request, and it is an enhancement that has been worked on. The next version of Practice Web that is going to be released is 13.2, and that will have an area with designated fields that will be able to import into the pink area. And the pink area that she's describing is here underneath your chart module and underneath your patient information. When you double click in this pink area, there will be designated fields for this area that will import. So thank you for that, and yes, it is on its way. The next question we have here says, on the production and income report, where do we enter production's amount so they will show on this report? Good question. That is actually based on the fee schedules that you have assigned to your patient. So if you have different patients with different levels of production, like, for instance, Delta Dental, Cigna, MetLife, when you assign your fee schedule here in your insurance, this is the production that you will see when you look underneath your production and income report here. So as long as you have the correct fees entered, then this is where your production will be coming from. Now, are there any other questions on the Practice Web software? Okay. Well, before we leave today, I'm going to leave you with a few resources. Here underneath your, our homepage, you have a button that says Training. We have now linked all of our video tutorials here. As I had mentioned, this is exclusive for current support customers, and so we will send you an email with the login password for this when you're current on your technical support. The next, you have our Facebook page. Follow us on Facebook. Sometimes doctors don't always check their emails, so if the staff will follow us on Facebook when we release webinars, video tutorial uploads, anything pertinent to learning about your Practice Web software, then you'll see it posted on Facebook, as well as any manager blogs. So for those office managers who are new to that position or maybe new to the dental industry, we do have a blog, and whenever a new blog goes up, those will also go on Facebook as well. And then follow us on Twitter. So if you're an office manager on the go, whenever we post, you'll get a notification, and you can always check it later. So thank you so very much, everyone, for attending the webinar today. We hope you get started on the right foot. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call support 800-845-9379, option 2. Thank you.